Welcome to Revenge by Eve. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the story.
I was packing my bags to leave when I heard my partner tell their mother they'd chosen someone else. So I smiled, unpacked everything, and stayed to watch it all unfold. Before this story goes any further, tell me, would you have walked away immediately or done what I did? And as you listen, comment where you're listening from. I read every one. My name is Eve Matthews, and for 7 years, I thought I'd built something real. My partner's name was Jordan Blake, and we met when I was 25 and they were 27. I worked as a graphic designer for a small marketing agency, and Jordan was an architect at a firm that specialized in sustainable commercial buildings. We met through mutual friends at a summer barbecue, and there was an immediate connection, the kind where conversation flows easily and hours pass without you noticing. Jordan was thoughtful in ways that mattered. They remembered details from conversations, showed up when they said they would, and had this quiet confidence that made you feel safe. We balanced each other well. I was the creative chaos, ideas spilling out at random hours, while Jordan was structured and methodical, turning concepts into concrete plans. We moved in together after a year and a half, a small 2-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood we both loved, walking distance to coffee shops and the farmer's market, with a park where we'd go running on Sunday mornings. Our life had a rhythm. Jordan would wake up early and make coffee while I slept in. We'd have breakfast together before heading to our respective offices. Evenings were for cooking dinner as a team. Jordan chopping vegetables with architectural precision while I handled the seasoning and creative flourishes. We'd watch shows together, talk about our days, make plans for the future. We talked about marriage, though neither of us was in a rush. We talked about maybe buying a house in a few years, about traveling more, about the possibility of kids someday, but not yet. Everything felt intentional and mutual. Jordan's family was close-knit. Their mother, Patricia, was a retired high school principal who still had that commanding presence. Their father had passed away when Jordan was in college, so Patricia had become the central figure of the family. Jordan had one sibling, an older sister named Melissa, who was married with 2 kids and lived across town. Family dinners happened every other Sunday at Patricia's house. I'd help in the kitchen while Jordan and Melissa caught up, and we'd all sit around this big dining table that Patricia had inherited from her parents. It felt stable, traditional, like I was becoming part of something bigger than just the 2 of us. I loved Jordan, genuinely deeply loved them. I loved the way they'd absently play with my hair while we watched TV. I loved how they'd leave little notes on the bathroom mirror before leaving for work. I loved that they took my career seriously and would ask thoughtful questions about projects I was working on. I thought they loved me the same way. I was wrong. The first warning sign came about 18 months ago, though I didn't recognize it as such at the time. Jordan started staying late at work, not every night, but 3 or 4 times a week. The firm had landed a major project, a new corporate campus for a tech company, and Jordan was on the lead design team. "I'm sorry, babe," Jordan would text around 6. "Meeting's running long. Don't wait up for dinner." I understood. Big projects meant long hours. I'd been through similar stretches at my own job. But then, the pattern became consistent. Jordan would come home after 9, sometimes after 10, claiming they'd been in the design studio or meeting with contractors. They'd be exhausted, distracted, barely interested in talking about the day. Our morning coffee ritual started to feel one-sided. I'd try to engage, ask about the project, and Jordan would give short, vague answers before scrolling through their phone. "Everything okay?" I asked one morning. "Yeah, just tired." "This project is intense. Do you want to do something this weekend? Just us? We haven't had quality time in a while." "I actually have to go into the office Saturday. We're behind on renderings." Saturday work became normal. Then Sunday mornings, cutting into our runtime. Then Sunday afternoons, which meant missing some of the family dinners at Patricia's. I started eating alone most nights. I'd make dinner for 2 out of habit, then pack Jordan's portion into containers that would sit in the fridge, sometimes untouched for days. Sex became infrequent. Once a week, then every 10 days. then once every 2 weeks. When I tried to initiate, Jordan was always too tired, too stressed, too focused on work. "I'm sorry," they'd say. "Once this project wraps up, things will get back to normal." But things didn't get back to normal. The project wrapped, and there was immediately another one. Then another. I started noticing Jordan being secretive with their phone. They'd always been casual about it before, leaving it on the counter while showering, letting me grab it to skip a song or check the time. Now they carried it everywhere. Face down. Password changed to something I didn't know. When I mentioned it, they said the firm had updated their security requirements because of proprietary designs. Plausible, reasonable, but something felt off. Jordan became critical of small things. The way I loaded the dishwasher, my tendency to leave books on the coffee table, my unrealistic career aspirations when I talked about eventually freelancing full-time. "I'm just being practical," Jordan would say when I'd get hurt. "Someone has to think about long-term stability." I started second-guessing myself constantly. Was I being too needy, too sensitive? Was I failing as a partner by not being more understanding about the work pressure? I tried harder. I stopped complaining about the late nights. I planned date nights that Jordan would cancel last minute. I suggested couples activities that never happened, and Jordan seemed increasingly annoyed by my efforts. Things escalated about 6 months ago. I'd been working on a freelance project on the side, rebranding for a local non-profit. It was a big deal for me, potentially my first step toward building my own client base. I was excited, proud, eager to share. I showed Jordan the initial concepts one evening. They barely glanced at them. "That's nice. Nice. I've been working on this for weeks. Hey, can you actually look?" Jordan sighed, put down their phone and gave the designs a cursory review. "They're fine, Eve. Very you." The way they said very you felt like an insult. What does that mean? Nothing. They're good. I'm just tired. But it wasn't nothing. It was a pattern. Anything I was excited about, Jordan minimized. Anything I struggled with, Jordan dismissed. When I got turned down for a promotion at work, Jordan's response was, "Well, you've only been there 3 years. You need more experience." When I talked about feeling stuck creatively, Jordan said, "Maybe you're not as passionate about design as you thought." Every dream I shared was met with skepticism. Every achievement was downplayed. I started sharing less, going quiet about my work, my ambitions, my feelings, and Jordan didn't seem to notice. And around this time, Jordan started mentioning a co-worker, Alex. Alex had joined the firm about 8 months earlier as a senior architect. Alex had worked on projects in Europe. Alex had interesting perspectives on sustainable design. Alex got Jordan's sense of humour. Alex, Alex, Alex. At first, I didn't think much of it. Jordan was allowed to have work friends, but then the mentions became constant. And Jordan started comparing me to Alex in subtle ways. Alex is so focused, they don't let personal stuff interfere with work. Alex understands the pressure of this industry. Alex thinks I should pursue that fellowship in Copenhagen. Copenhagen, that was new. What fellowship? It's this year-long program for sustainable architecture. Alex did it a few years ago and said it's career-changing. A year in Copenhagen? When were you going to tell me about this? I'm telling you now, I haven't decided if I'm applying yet. We'd have to figure out what that means for us. Why does everything have to be about us, Eve? Can't I have career goals that are just mine? The question stung. Like our relationship was holding them back. I tried to be supportive. Of course you can. I just want to be part of the conversation. Well, now you are. But I wasn't really. Jordan had clearly been thinking about this for a while, discussing it with Alex, making plans that didn't include me. I started feeling like a roommate Jordan tolerated rather than a partner they loved. The core betrayal happened on a Sunday afternoon 3 months ago. We were supposed to go to Patricia's for dinner. Jordan had been distant all week, claiming work stress, and I'd been looking forward to family time as a way to reconnect. But that morning, Jordan said they weren't feeling well and asked if I'd go without them. "Are you sure?" I can stay home with you. No, go, my mum's expecting you. I'll just rest. So I went. Helped Patricia cook, played with Melissa's kids, made small talk with extended family who asked where Jordan was. Working too hard, I said, the excuse I'd been using for months. I left earlier than usual, around 7, wanting to get home and check on Jordan. When I walked into our apartment, I heard voices. Jordan was on the phone and they didn't hear me come in. I know, Mom, I know, but I can't keep doing this. I froze in the hallway, shopping bag still in hand. Patricia's voice was faint through the phone speaker, but I could hear her responding. I just don't love her anymore, Jordan said. Maybe I never really did. Not the way I should have. My heart stopped. Alex makes me feel alive in a way I haven't felt in years. It's not fair to Eve, I know that. But it's also not fair to me to stay in something that's dead. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. I'm going to end it. I just need to figure out the right time. After her birthday, maybe. I don't want to ruin that for her. My birthday was in 2 weeks. So Jordan was planning to wait until after my birthday to leave me. How considerate. Yes, I know it'll be hard, but staying is harder. I feel like I'm suffocating. Patricia said something I couldn't quite hear. Alex and I haven't done anything physical yet. We're being respectful, but yeah, once I'm free, we'll see where it goes. I stood in that hallway, listening to the person I'd built my life around discuss dismantling that life with their mother, and I felt something inside me go cold. Not hot, with rage, not broken with grief, just cold, clear. Jordan thought they were going to leave me, thought they'd get to walk away cleanly, move on to Alex, start fresh while I dealt with the aftermath alone. They were wrong. That was the moment I stopped waiting for them to change. I quietly set down the shopping bags, took off my shoes, and instead of confronting Jordan, I went to our bedroom and started thinking. I could confront them now, scream, cry, demand explanations. But what would that accomplish? Jordan had already made their decision. They were just waiting for the right time to tell me. Number 1, I wasn't going to give them the narrative they wanted. The clean break. The amicable separation, where they got to be the thoughtful one who ended things gently. I was going to let them do exactly what they said they were going to do. And in the process, I was going to take back everything I'd given up for this relationship. I walked back into the living room. Jordan had finished the call and was on the couch looking genuinely sick now that they knew I'd heard something. Hey, I said brightly. How are you feeling? Jordan's eyes flickered with guilt. Better. I think I just needed rest. Good. I brought you soup from your mum's. Thanks. I smiled, kissed their forehead, acted like everything was fine, and I started planning. The quiet plan required precision and patience. First, I documented everything. I went through our shared finances, documenting every expense. I noted that Jordan had been contributing less to our joint account over the past 6 months, while I'd been covering more of the rent and utilities. I also started screenshotting text conversations where Jordan dismissed my feelings or made plans without including me, building a record of emotional distance. Next, I focused on protecting my assets. We weren't married, which actually worked in my favour. The apartment was in both our names, but I'd paid the entire security deposit. I found the receipt. I started quietly separating my belongings from Jordan's. Not obviously, just slowly moving my important things, documents, electronics, sentimental items, into my car or to my office. So when the time came to leave, I could do it quickly. I also called an attorney friend, not for representation but for advice. What were my rights as an unmarried partner? What about the furniture we'd bought together? The car we technically co-owned but I'd paid for? She told me that without a cohabitation agreement, most of it would come down to who could prove purchase. So I gathered receipts, bank statements, credit card records. But the most important part of my plan wasn't financial. It was letting Jordan think they were in control. I became the perfect partner. Understanding about the late nights, supportive of the Copenhagen fellowship idea, interested in hearing about Alex's brilliant insights. I stopped asking for quality time, stopped initiating sex, stopped expecting anything. And Jordan relaxed. They thought I'd accepted this new dynamic, that I was settling into being the comfortable, undemanding partner they could eventually leave without drama. My birthday came and went. Jordan took me to dinner, gave me a nice gift, played the attentive partner for one night. And I knew they were counting down the days until they could end it. But I wasn't going to wait for their timeline. I was going to force their hand. The payoff came 6 weeks after I'd overheard that phone call. Jordan had applied to the Copenhagen Fellowship and was waiting to hear back. They'd told me about it, framing it as a great opportunity they had to consider. I encouraged them, researched the program, asked questions, made it seem like I was supportive of them going. "What would happen with us if you got it?" I asked one night. Jordan hedged. "I don't know, we'd figure it out. Long distance for a year would be hard." "Yeah, but maybe it would be good. Give us both space to grow." Space to grow. A code for, I want to leave but don't want to be the bad guy. "You should definitely go if you get in," I said. "This kind of opportunity doesn't come around often." Jordan looked relieved. "You really think so?" "Absolutely. I wouldn't want to hold you back." That weekend, Jordan got the acceptance email. They'd gotten into the fellowship. They were excited, trying to hide it, but I could see it in their eyes. This was their escape route, their fresh start. "We should celebrate," I said. "Really?" "Of course. This is huge for your career." We went to dinner. Jordan was animated in a way I hadn't seen in months, talking about the program, the projects they'd work on, the people they'd meet. Not once did they mention what would happen to us. So I brought it up. "I've been thinking about the logistics." "What do you mean?" "If you're going to be gone for a year, we should probably talk about the apartment, finances, all of that." Jordan shifted uncomfortably. "Yeah, I guess we should. I actually think it might make sense to end the lease. I can't afford this place on my own, and you'll be in Copenhagen. We could both find new places and figure things out when you get back." I was giving them the out they wanted, making it easy. Jordan's relief was palpable. "That actually makes sense." "I thought so. No point in both of us being stuck in a lease when our lives are going in different directions." "Right. Different directions." They reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You're being really mature about this." "Mature? Sure. I just want what's best for both of us." Over the next few weeks, I played the role perfectly, the understanding partner who wasn't going to make this difficult. Jordan started packing for Copenhagen, started making plans with Alex, who, surprise, had also gotten into a design program in Europe at the same time. I continued moving my things out gradually. By the time Jordan noticed, I'd already relocated everything that mattered. 2 weeks before Jordan was supposed to leave, I asked to have one final family dinner at Patricia's. "To celebrate your new adventure," I said. Jordan agreed, still thinking I was being supportive. The dinner was set for a Sunday. Everyone would be there. Patricia, Melissa and her family, a few aunts and uncles. The morning of the dinner, when I packed the last of my things and moved them into the new apartment I'd quietly rented across town. Then I showed up to Patricia's with a folder full of documents. Jordan arrived late, as usual, claiming last-minute packing stress. We all sat down for dinner. Patricia had made all of Jordan's favourites. Everyone was congratulating them on the fellowship, and then I stood up. "Before we eat, I'd like to say something." Jordan looked confused. "Eve, you don't have to—" "Actually, I do." I pulled out the folder. "I want everyone here to know that Jordan and I are separating." The table went silent. "I know Jordan was planning to tell you eventually, probably framing it as a mutual decision brought on by the distance. But I want to be clear about what's actually happening." I looked directly at Patricia. 3 months ago, I overheard Jordan on the phone with you. They told you they didn't love me anymore? That they'd been emotionally involved with their co-worker Alex? That they were planning to end our relationship but wanted to wait until after my birthday so they didn't ruin it for me?" Patricia's face went pale. Jordan stood up. "Eve, this isn't—" "Sit down, Jordan." Something in my voice made them sit. For the past 3 months, I've been the perfect partner, understanding, supportive, making this easy for you. And you thought I was just accepting the end of our relationship because I didn't know it was ending. I opened the folder, but I did know, and I've spent this time protecting myself. I handed documents to Patricia. This shows that over the past year, Jordan has contributed significantly less to our shared expenses while saving money in a private account. Money that could have helped us both, but instead went toward their exit plan. I handed another document to Melissa. This is a timeline of every time Jordan lied about where they were or who they were with. Every late work night that was actually dinner with Alex, every client meeting that was actually planning their new life. Jordan's face had gone from confused to panicked to angry. You had no right to. I had every right. You were planning to leave. I'm just doing it on my terms instead of yours. I looked at the family who'd welcomed me for 7 years. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here because you deserve to know the truth before Jordan rewrites history. I turned to Jordan. I've moved out. I took only what's mine. And I have receipts to prove it. I've closed our joint accounts. I've already found a new place. You can't just... I can, and I did. The lease is in both our names, but I've spoken to the landlord. Since you're leaving the country anyway, I've arranged for you to be released from it early. You're free. I smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. You wanted out. You wanted a clean break to start fresh with Alex in Europe. So I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. I'm just not letting you control the narrative. I stood up, collected my folder, and looked at Patricia one last time. Thank you for welcoming me into your family. I'm sorry it ended this way. But I'm not sorry for protecting myself. And I walked out of that house with my head high, leaving Jordan to face the family they'd lied to. The fallout was immediate and complete. Patricia was devastated not just by Jordan's actions, but by her own complicity in keeping the secret. She called me the next day, crying, apologizing for not telling me what she knew. I thought I was protecting Jordan, she said. I didn't realize I was enabling them to hurt you. Melissa reached out too. She'd suspected something was off but hadn't wanted to interfere. I should have said something. I'm sorry. Jordan tried to reach out multiple times, angry texts accusing me of being manipulative and cruel, then apologetic ones asking if we could talk, then desperate ones begging me not to destroy their reputation. I blocked them on everything. Jordan's friends reached out with questions. I sent them a simple message. Ask Jordan what happened. If they tell you the truth, you'll understand. Most of them got the truth eventually. Some sided with Jordan. Most didn't. Alex apparently got cold feet when the situation became messy. The clean escape to Europe with a fresh romance was a lot more appealing than getting involved in a complicated breakup. Jordan ended up going to Copenhagen alone. I heard through Melissa that they were struggling. The fellowship was harder than expected, and without the emotional support they'd assumed they'd have, they were isolated and unhappy. I didn't feel triumphant about that. I just felt free. 2 years later, I'm 34 and building a life that's entirely mine. I went full-time freelance 6 months after the breakup. My client base grew steadily, and I'm now making more than I did at the agency. I bought a small house. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. A garden where I grow vegetables. A home office with good light. A space that reflects who I am, not who I was trying to be for someone else. I've dated casually. Nothing serious yet, but I'm not rushing. I'm learning what I actually want in a partner, not just what I'm willing to accept. I've stayed in touch with Melissa. We get coffee sometimes. She apologized for her brother's behavior more times than necessary, but we've moved past it. She's become a real friend. Patricia and I have a cordial relationship. We're not close, but there's mutual respect. She learned something about her child that was hard to accept, and she's dealing with that in her own way. Jordan came back from Copenhagen after the fellowship ended. I heard they're working at a different firm, in a different city. We've had no contact. I don't hate them. I don't really feel anything toward them at all, which is its own kind of peace. I think about the Eve who stood in that hallway listening to her partner plan to leave her, and I'm proud of how she handled it. She could have fallen apart, could have begged Jordan to stay, could have accepted the role of the person being left. Instead, she chose herself. And that choice changed everything. If you were in my place, what would you have done differently? And don't forget to tell me, where are you listening from right now? This is Revenge by Eve, and your voice matters here.
Thanks for watching Revenge by Eve. We hoped you enjoyed the story. See you soon.